Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a miniaturization of an all-time classic. We're going to be talking about Settlers of Catan, the Traveller's Edition, and in this game you'll be gathering resources. You'll be trading these resources to build buildings that will give you enough points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you, well, sort of a very brief overview of the rules. Well, maybe we won't, because if you don't know how to play Catan then you are a dense motherfucker. And we'll tell you what we do like, what we don't like, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Settlers of Catan Traveller's Edition is worth your time and bother to date and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel, right? Hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. We'll see you after this. Bollocks! So, Settlers of Catan Traveller's Edition. How'd you play this game? So, Catan Traveller's Edition is a miniaturization of a game that some people say changed the face of board gaming way back in 1995. First thing you're going to do in this game is you're going to place a couple of roads and a couple of settlements on the board. You'll get a few resources with your second placement, right? Then what you do, you roll the dice, and you may get a number of resources that correspond to settlements that are on intersections adjacent to the number that you rolled, yeah? Then you'll be able to use these resources that you get to trade with other players, right? It's going to give you other resources. Then you'll be able to build different structures. You'll be able to build roads, you'll be able to build settlements which are worth 1 point, you'll be able to build cities that are worth 2 points. If you've got a city in an intersection, it's going to give you 2 of that resource, yeah? You'll also be able to get development cards. These might give you a one-shot special ability, like maybe you'll be able to nick all of any one type resource from all the other players, or you might be able to get soldiers or knight cards, yeah? If you've got 3 of these, you'll have the largest army, you'll get 2 points, and then the next player will have to get 4 armies, 5 armies, so on and so forth. And also, if you've got 5 segments of road, you'll be able to get the longest road, and then another player who wants to take that off you will have to get 6 roads, 7 roads, and all that shit, right? If you play a knight card, you'll be able to move the robber, right? The robber starts on the desert. You'll be able to move the robber, cover up one of the numbers, and that blocks anyone from getting resources there. You'll also be able to nick a card from anybody who's got a settlement on an intersection of where you place the robber, yeah? And if you've got 8 or more cards, you'll have to discard down to half. If you roll a 7, you'll also be able to move the robber, yeah? And if anyone gets up to 10 victory points, then they will be the winner of Catan, right? So what do we like about Catan Traveller's Edition? So the first thing that we really like about this is that it comes in a really sturdy box, right? If you look at the previous travel edition of Catan, it came in like a cardboard box with an insert, and all the cards and all the pieces used to fly around unless you put them in baggies, right? And it was a little bit unwieldy. This solves that problem. Comes in like a clamshell type thing that can be locked shut. All the pieces all sit nice and tight together, and it's quite robust, right? I think this will probably survive the impending nuclear apocalypse, even though you don't, right? And if you do survive the impending nuclear apocalypse, what better way to spend the rest of eternity in a radiation infested wasteland than playing Settlers of Catan, right? So the second thing that we really like about it is that it comes with a 2-player variant, yeah? People have been asking since the year dot for a 2-player version of Catan, right? And up to this point we've had to sort of settle with sort of fan-made variants, or even that horrible game Rivals of Catan, yeah? Or the Struggle for Catan, which is like a half-baked implementation, right? This tries to solve that problem, yeah? It does use a dummy player, which is disappointing. You've got to fuck about with some cards that let you take actions on behalf of an invisible player, but at least they put it in here, right? And it's the Traveller's Edition that probably needs this more than most, right? It's not perfect, but at least they actually had the nous to put this in here, right? So the next thing that we really like about this is that the card trays solve a really big problem with this. You know, we said at the beginning of this video that the previous version came with like an insert and everything just flapped about and ended up in a big old mess. Well, this edition comes with these lovely little card trays that fit inside the drawers, yeah? It's a bit of a pain in the arse trying to get them in when you've got some roads and settlements and all that stuffed in the tray, but I suppose you're only going to be putting stuff away when most of the pieces are actually pinned into the board, yeah? So yeah, the card trays and the drawers and all, just basically the way that this game is presented is absolutely top notch. So what don't we like about Catan Traveller's Edition? So the first thing that we don't like about this version of Catan is that it still doesn't give you a fully randomized setup. I'm going to keep banging on about it, right? But if you look back to the previous version, it gave you individual tiles aside from the desert tile, which was fixed in position in the middle. It allowed you to create a randomized setup, right? This sort of backtracks on that innovation by giving you a couple of large tiles and like 3 small long strips of tiles. They're both double-sided, so I suppose it does give you a little bit of variation, but why the fuck haven't they given you the option option of just getting a bag of tiles and sticking them out wherever you want, and then giving you some number tokens on magnets that you can put on the board in a totally randomized setup, right? It really pissed me off when I found out that they didn't go for that option, that they decided to give you a half-baked edition again. And all that people want is a carbon copy of the original game that has been shrunk into a size that you could fit to a fucking bag, right? So it's really, really disappointing that they haven't done this, but there you go. So the second thing that we don't like about Settlers of Catan Traveller's Edition is that the dice are a little bit shit. They come in this tiny little hexagon-shaped box, and you've really got to give them a good shake like Gareth Hunt at the Nescafe advert to actually show a different number from the previous roll. Yeah, there's been loads of occasions where we've been shaking this thing and the dice don't move. Yeah, so we've come to the conclusion that you have to slam the dice down on the table to actually get them to move. You know, they could have used one of them little pop-o-matic things, you know, that they used to get in the kids' games in the 80s. But no, I think they've gone for the cheap option. Yeah, I suppose it sort of makes sense in a way, the fact that you might lose the dice, and you're not going to lose the dice here, but they just don't seem to have thought it through that well. So the final thing we don't like about Catan Traveller's Edition is that the actual tiles are subject to warping, and I think this is something to do with the way that the game is so tightly packed when you close it up. The rulebook tells you to stack the tiles on top of each other and then close the lid, but what this does is that if you've got the thin strips on the top, then they tend to bend over the large ones, and if you've got the large ones on top, then they tend to bend over the strips, right? So when we play this, the tiles tend to want to pop up out of the actual board itself, and it's not until you start pinning in roads and settlements and all that and actually get quite a substantial amount of pieces onto the board that this problem is solved, right? So it's a bit of a design flaw. Pieces are a little bit flimsy, and that might be why they are subject to warping, and it's just very disappointing, right? Because over in the UK this is like 40-45 quid, yet in Germany for like 20 quid. So I suppose at that price you can't really grumble, but at 45 quid you fucking right you can. Yeah, so is Catan Traveller's Edition worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we're going to say maybe, maybe not. I suppose it all depends on how often you A, want to go travelling, or B, you want to play Catan, or C, that you want to travel and play Catan at the same time, right? Some people don't want to play Catan at all, so this game is basically off the menu for you. But this is the best version of Catan that you could fit into a bag at this present moment in time, right? It's just a shame that they didn't merge the two ideas from this and the previous one to come up with a definitive version. For some bizarre reason, Asmodee or Catan Studios just simply won't deliver what everybody has been asking for nearly 30 years, which is a miniaturized carbon copy of the original game. However, the shortcomings, whilst bitterly disappointing, are not completely and utterly batshit crazy, right? So if you need to take Catan on holiday with you, or if you just feel the need to play Catan in a very small cupboard, then this might well be the game for you. So there you go, that is Catan Traveller's Edition. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you next time.